And we're here for episode 8, everybody. Steele and I are ready to go for an awesome episode of the Off the Wall Hockey Show tonight. This is going to be a fun one, Steele. Obviously, the show, part of the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. And we really want to thank our sponsors, Canine Country Club Resorts as well, for sponsoring the show, and all of us here at Steel Flyers. It really, really means a lot. So, Steele, we've had an interesting past week of NHL action, a lot of games this past week, and
Wow.
a lot of really good hockey as well. So,
Yeah,
how
man.
how are you feeling about the show tonight and everything we're going to be talking about? You ready to go?
Oh, man, I tell you what. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Excited.
All right. You've done a lot of streaming this week.
Yes.
You've had a lot of good stuff going on. So I'm here to tell you, man, there's been a lot of great hockey. I'm definitely on the mend here for sure.
Very good.
Every day gets a little better. And, boy, the hockey just seems to get better and better and better.
Yeah, it's been an awesome season so far, and that certainly continued along this week as well. We'll get right into our top stories here. I know that number one on my list, we have the outdoor games coming up this weekend. This is going to be probably the biggest regular season showcase for the NHL this year because obviously no Winter Classic, no All-Star game. These outdoor games are the big showcase of what the NHL has to offer before we get to the playoffs, which obviously will be the biggest thing. But Colorado and Vegas go at it on Saturday, and then Boston and Philadelphia go at it on Sunday. Two absolutely phenomenal matchups this weekend. I know that we're probably looking forward to Sunday a little bit more because our teams are in it.
Oh, no.
But Saturday's game is going to be really good as well. And I don't know if you've seen any of the pictures yet going around on Twitter and social media of the rink, but it looks absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Just the landscape background and just out there right on the edge of the lake on the golf course with the mountains in the back. It looks incredible. I am super excited for these outdoor games this weekend. How about you?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I'm not just excited about, obviously, the Philadelphia-Boston game, but I'm also very, very, very much excited about the Colorado-Vegas game because this is going to be a really good game.
Yep.
Okay. And exactly with what you said, this is the NHL showcase right here. This is Hockey Night in Canada switched around to Hockey Night in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we get to showcase the fact that we are capable of putting on these games.
Yep.
Okay. And this whole stadium series, I've got nothing but praise for the NHL for doing these. This has been the best thing in the world. In fact, I was checking out this really cool article that I was reading about how they made this commercial back in 2000 with Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky and Eric Lindros and a whole bunch of the old greats from 2000, right? Mm-hmm. And they made this outdoor commercial about and Gordie Howe was in it, and they made this outdoor commercial about them skating for the All-Stars.
Yep.
But it just brings that nostalgia of old hockey because this is how it started.
Yep.
This is how the game started on the ice, on the ponds, you know, in local areas where the ice was so cold that they could skate on the water.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And this is where it all started. And the fact that we're able to do this in this day and age is just shy of amazing. And it's super exciting because they've got really great matchups. Every single time there's been an outdoor game, they've been really, really good teams and good matchups. And the Vegas-Colorado game and the Boston-Philly game are going to live up to the hype.
Yeah, I certainly expect them both to be phenomenal games this weekend, without a doubt. And I'll tell you, my favorite thing about this is that it's not in a stadium, that you don't have like the seats all around. It's literally like the woods. It's the lake in the woods. And that brings me back to playing pond hockey, like growing up, and just like grabbing some friends and going out. You know, I have a good place to play pond hockey, like 15 minutes from my house, and a bunch of us would all go and play in the afternoons. And like, that's what this reminds me of. Like when I saw that rink with the landscape of the mountains and the trees and everything behind it, instead of like being in, which
Oh
I
man.
like all the outdoor games. I love outdoor hockey, but it's different with this than it is the normal stadium series where you have a football stadium or a
Yeah,
baseball stadium surrounding it. And like that's really cool too. But this is like something totally different that we've never seen before, where you're
exactly.
literally playing in the woods. And
Yeah.
it's really
Yeah.
bringing me back to like just all those years playing on the pond. And even when I still get out some winters on the pond, even now, it's like this is hockey at its grassroots right here, and it's going to be awesome to see.
The fact that they're going to do this without any people
Mhm.
there, without any spectators
Yep.
there. Okay, that is what I think is going to be the amazing part about this.
Yeah.
And that's why they're doing it where they are, because there is nobody there. I
Mhm.
mean, I think they're like on the 18th green
Yes.
or
Yeah.
something like
The
that at the
fairway
golf.
of the golf
Yeah,
course.
there,
Yep.
that's it, the fairway. All right. So you're more of a golfer than I am. So,
I don't even know that much with golf, but I know
uh,
that's where they were.
okay, well, I know it's on the golf course,
Yep.
and they laid down a beautiful ice surface, and
Mhm.
I'm super excited about seeing these games. And how could this not be the top story of the show tonight?
Yeah, it certainly is for me, without a doubt. I mean, this is a huge weekend for the league, and a thing, obviously you pointed out, no fans there. Normally, when they do outdoor games, because outdoor games are pretty expensive to put on, when they do outdoor games, it's usually at least 40, 50,000 seat crowd, and then when they get into football stadiums, it gets up into, more than that, sometimes 75, 80,000. When they did it at the University of Michigan, that was over 101,000
Well,
people
that's the
there.
big house.
Yeah, the big house is nuts with the amount of people they can fit in there.
Yeah.
This
That's the
is
largest outdoor that's the largest outdoor stadium in the United States. That's why they call it the big
Yeah,
house.
that's awesome. I can
And then the
imagine.
next one after that is Beaver Stadium.
Mhm.
And then the next one after that is the Los Angeles Coliseum.
Coliseum. Yep.
Okay. So over 100,000 people in that stadium. That's a lot of people
Yeah.
watching a bloody hockey game. And
Yeah.
that place was packed to the rafters.
It was that they sold that place out. That was the largest crowd for a hockey game when they did it at the University of, at the University of Michigan. That was the largest crowd for a hockey game ever. And
Exactly.
it's going to be interesting here with this one because there aren't going to be fans there. So this is more of like a TV spectacle. You don't have the 100,000 people there at the rink watching. This is a television spectacle that NBC is going to have to really take advantage of because this should draw huge ratings.
I was just
This
gonna
needs
say,
to draw huge ratings.
yeah, that's perfect way to say that because I think that's what they're gonna do.
Mhm.
I mean, because everybody was talking about how they didn't really market this game, and this game is not really like it doesn't have that same
Same,
feel
yeah.
as the outdoor series because it's not really heavily marketed. There's no special jersey for it. I mean, really, there isn't.
Yeah,
You
they're all
know,
wearing the reverse retros, but
okay,
those
but
they were going to be wearing anyway. So it's not like it's a special jersey for this
that's what I
game
mean.
like they
That's
do
what I
with the
mean.
Winter Classics. Yeah.
Or even with the Stadium Series,
Yep.
they've made special jerseys for the
Jerseys.
Stadium
Yep.
Series too.
Yep.
So there's not the same hype for this game or these games, okay? Because you're exactly right. It is a TV spectacle.
Yes.
So I'm expecting to see some innovative ways that they're going to try and do things with this game.
Definitely will be.
I'm hoping
There
that they do something.
I saw an article today. Their NBC's got some tricks up their sleeves for this one. I
I
know
know.
that they've got drone cameras they're going to be
Yes.
using. I'm going to
Yes.
be really interested to see how that works out. I know they have a big robotic camera they're going to be using, trying to bring us some new camera angles that you
Exactly.
can't normally get with a stadium setup.
Exactly.
Um, it's going to be cool. I'm really interested to see how it goes from a television standpoint
Me too.
because this is really important for them. Like this needs to be successful, so they've got to hit this out of the park.
Even if they don't ever do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, because look, if they have it at Lake Tahoe again, they have to have it where fans can come
Mhm.
because that kind of defeats the whole purpose, really. I mean, they're doing this for the TV spectacle. I get it,
Because they
but
can't have fans this year.
right, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes,
So if they do this again, they have to do it with fans in mind and things of that nature. So
most likely, yeah.
yeah.
I wouldn't see
Uh,
them, yeah.
right. Yeah. So I'm hoping that once we get more back to a normal schedule where the season starts in the beginning of October and we have 82 games and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing, and we have a more normal season, I think we'll see something along these lines again because that's what they were doing before. This is just a replacement for the fact that we didn't have a Winter Classic
Yeah.
and the fact that there's no stadium series because there's no fans allowed.
Yep. Exactly.
But thanks NHL, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'll certainly take it. I think this is going to be such a unique experience and something that we haven't seen. I'm just really interested to see how it turns out and how it goes, because I mean it's not normal under regular circumstances. You would never have a game with no fans. You wouldn't be like, let's play an NHL hockey game but not allow spectators there to watch it. But
Right.
now, under these current circumstances where they're forced into that, they're gonna they're gonna be able to try some new things and figure out some other ways to get the fans engaged. And I'm really looking forward to see how this weekend goes. And I'm gonna be streaming both games, and I'm gonna be live for both. So I'm certainly going to be watching every second of them, and I can't wait to see how not only the product on the ice is, because they're great matchups, but also how the game is presented from a TV standpoint, and if the
Yes.
NHL and
Yes.
NBC can hit this out of the park and make this a great experience for everybody watching at home.
I agree, and I think that has to be the top storyline because
Mm-hmm.
we've seen what they're capable of doing.
Yep.
Okay, and they do a phenomenal job. Seriously, of all the networks that has done NHL any justice, it's been NBC.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hands down.
Yep.
Okay, of the last 10 years. Okay, now NHL Network is starting to step up their game a little bit more, and they've been actually playing more games.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have
their
NHL Network, but
Okay,
I haven't
but
seen that. But
right, but they have been playing more games now
yep.
on the NHL Network,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they did the whole World Junior Championships on NHL Network.
Yep.
Which is something that they have never done. So I mean, the NHL Network is stepping up and playing more of the games and airing more of the games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, NBC got the TV deal after the lockout, so pretty much for as long as I can remember, NBC has been the channel that national TV games are on. Like, I was very, very young pre-lockout when ESPN was still doing hockey. I don't really remember that. I'm pretty much, because by the time the NHL came back in 2005, 2006, I was
It
9
was already
years
on
old.
NBC.
I was 9 years old, and that was
Yeah.
when they went to NBC. So I don't
Yep.
really remember much before that.
Okay. Well, I do. So
Yes.
I can tell you this. ESPN2 was built in part by the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Because what ESPN did is they took Barry Melrose and a couple other people,
Yep.
and they said, "Hey, we want to create this new network that's going to take our overflow on ESPN because at the time there was a lot on ESPN that you didn't even get to see.
Yep.
Right? Like axe throwing championships. You know what I mean?
Well, now they have drone racing. So.
Okay. So you get where I'm going with this. Right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
they said,
Oh, yeah.
Hey, ESPN2, and we'll get the contract with the NHL,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll put the NHL out there. And man, they did a great job.
Yep.
Right, and you could tune into ESPN, watch a couple of good hockey games. They had some good shows on that were actually talking about hockey. I mean, not quite to the extent of what NHL Network has right now, but
Yeah.
let's face it. At the time, ESPN2, that was, to me, in my opinion, was built in part by the NHL because they partnered with the NHL at the very beginning of ESPN2
to basically build that channel.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And that's what happened.
And then the
And
lockout came.
and then the lockout came. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And then the TV contract, and then ESPN said, "Well, you're not as viable as the NBA."
NBA. Yep.
Right. And so they just said, well, we'll just go with the NBA then.
Yeah.
And that's what they did.
It seems like the relationship soured between ESPN and the NHL when that lockout happened.
You know what? Look, I hate to get off topic here, but they barely even mention NHL
They don't.
stuff.
Hockey doesn't exist at ESPN anymore, and that's where like it's funny
That's
that
why we're doing this.
Yeah, no, it's funny how that relationship really seemed to really be a nasty split when that lockout happened, because since then ESPN's neglected to even like accept acknowledge is a perfect word. Even acknowledge that the NHL is really even a thing. They'll show a few highlights on SportsCenter during the playoffs, but that's about it. They don't really cover it.
Right.
Whereas, I mean, I guess it's gotten a little better now. They have ESPN Plus, but they have hockey shows on that. But again, that's extra. Like, that's not on air. That's online. You have to pay extra. That's like extra secondary content for them.
Yeah.
They don't treat the NHL like a legitimate Big Four sports league. And it's funny that, they used to be the TV network that had the NHL and was building the NHL, and then because of that lockout, it split, and now NBC is taken over as the kings of hockey in the US.
And what's going to happen now, because NBC is going to stop doing their sports.
Yeah, they don't have the sports network anymore. So it's going to go to USA Network, or the NHL is going to sign a TV deal with someone else.
They're going to have to. I mean, they're going to have to, because I don't see how they can close down NBC Sports and still continue to have NHL and other things. I mean,
they're going to try. They're going to try. They said they're just going to move the games to USA Network, but I don't know how well that's...
Okay,
Again, who knows how that goes?
Yeah.
Yes, the NHL might say we're going somewhere else. I don't know.
Wow. That's going to be amazing if that happens.
That's going to be interesting, because they've been with NBC for a long time now.
Yeah, at least
They're
the last 10 years.
15 years with NBC now.
Mm-hmm. Yep, for sure. One of the things that I think, I mean, even though we're talking about the outdoor game and the fact that we think that that's one of the top stories, obviously, of this whole entire day and weekend, that we could just sit here and talk for the next 3 hours about this game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one point that I wanted to make that I think is one of the underlying stories here, is that the Flyers made it.
Yeah. That goes right along with my next thing on top stories as well. Yep. All the teams are back. Everyone's playing again.
Yeah. Finally, that's been a while since that happened.
It has. This is the first point, I think, in all of February now. With the Flyers coming back last night, I think was the first time in all of February that every team was playing, because New Jersey they went out January 30th or 31st.
Yeah.
And New Jersey's back, Buffalo's back, Flyers are back,
Minnesota's
back, Colorado's back. So all the teams are back. And that was my next thing on the top stories, is that's huge, because the NHL really had a rough go of it there for a couple of weeks, where they had a lot of teams not playing.
This might happen again. I mean, it very well could happen again.
I hope not, because they can't afford any more postponements.
Right, I'm with you, because they're already
booked into May, into May now.
Yep.
So.
Yep. I got you. Now, here's the thing: the fact that they did have some of the contingency plans and all that in place, but they also changed the protocols now, where they've instituted the rapid testing.
I think that's been big.
And I think that right there is going to help quelch this from happening again.
Yep.
I mean, that's the theory.
I hope so. I certainly hope so.
That's the hope.
I think that's going to play a big role for sure. And at least, like we talked about this a lot last week, finding positives earlier with those rapid tests is going to get them separated sooner which then hopefully will stop the big breakouts, whereas maybe one or two guys still get it, but the whole team isn't at risk. Whereas we've seen upwards of 16, 17, 18 guys from one team all on the list, that those rapid tests should hopefully stop those kinds of breakouts from happening.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that I'm glad that the NHL is recognizing the fact that they have to think on their feet,
Yep.
and the fact that they've been able to kind of roll with the punches a little bit, and that they've been able to institute this kind of on the fly. You know what I mean? In spite of the fact that they had a mandatory shutdown there at the beginning of February for what, a week, where nobody was playing anything. Right? Didn't they do that?
No, the whole league never stopped.
They didn't do. Okay, I
No.
thought they did that, but
No, the whole league never stopped. There were a few teams at one point. I think they had 5 teams not playing.
that's okay.
Yeah,
All right.
when they had New Jersey, Buffalo, Colorado, Minnesota, and Philadelphia. When Philly first
Okay.
went out, they had
Okay.
5 teams not playing.
Okay, I thought they were talking about maybe shutting it down for a week or two, but I guess they never went on with that.
No,
So
they did not do that.
Nope. Okay.
Thankfully,
I read
would've-
that somewhere that they were considered doing that, but I'm glad they didn't,
Yeah.
because you can't stop this train.
No, the show must go on. The North Division has had 0 games postponed up in Canada, so why should they stop? Because
Go
other
figure.
divisions are having issues. Like, why should the North get shut down because the East has 4 teams out? Like that,
Exactly.
I feel like
Hey, man.
you'd be punishing the teams that miss games are just gonna have to make them up, and like that stinks for their schedule at the end of the year when they're jamming 5 games into a week. But that's the way it is. I mean.
And not every team has not been affected, because
Mhm.
maybe your team didn't get affected by COVID, by people being on the team having COVID, but maybe a game was postponed
Because the opponents
because
did.
the other team had COVID and you weren't able to play for a couple of days.
Yep.
Because you didn't have an opponent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
think
every single team, except for the North, obviously, because no teams have had that issue.
Yep.
But they are playing an even more compressed schedule,
Mhm.
because they're playing each team, 9 times now instead of 8.
Well, that's because there's one less team in the division.
Well,
so
right.
They play each other 9 to 10 times rather than only 8.
Right. Okay. So,
Yeah.
but
They've played the normal schedule up north. They've played it exactly how it was supposed to be played, whereas the other
Yes.
divisions have all had games shuffled around.
Exactly. And they're the
Yes.
only ones that haven't. So
Yep.
there you go. And you can't make it league wide, because, well, that wouldn't be fair to the North, because
No, yeah,
haven't.
and like the West has had a few, but they haven't had a ton, and actually the Central has been fine since the beginning of the season. They had a couple.
With Dallas.
They had Dallas right at the beginning of the year and Carolina early in the year, but since then the Central's been fine. So,
Yep.
why would they stop playing just because the East is having issues? Like
Exactly.
that to me doesn't make any sense. So
Exactly.
I'm glad the NHL didn't just shut everything down, because for
Me too.
most of these teams they could keep playing and it would be fine. Whereas it was a certain amount, a certain few teams that were having the major issues.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the fact that the taxi squads, I think, are going to play more of a role moving forward as well too,
Mhm.
because it seemed like in the beginning, especially before there was the AHL playing,
Yep,
that was kind of the spot where you could kind of hold guys that you could,
just keep them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I mean? And see, here's the thing. If you're gonna institute this rapid testing now, you should be able to get those players out more quickly, and then
Exactly.
institute the taxi squad players in more quickly, so that you
Exactly.
don't have to postpone games.
Exact. That's, I think, exactly the point with that, and hopefully it works. It's nice to have all the teams back playing, and
That's for sure.
hopefully it stays that way. Hopefully we avoid any more
Yeah.
major breakouts and it stays that way.
Yeah.
And we're able to kind of, as smooth as possible, move along with the rest of this season.
Boy, what a set of adversity to face for a group of teams, well, for the league.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not just society that's going through this. I mean, this was like a huge dip in the road that, was able to be withstood,
Yeah, it was
know?
definitely the hardest COVID punch to the NHL the past few weeks, and the NHL is just taking all those punches, and they're still standing.
Exactly. And to me, that says something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, and with that being said, I want to move into my second point because I know it
Yep.
kind of parlays in with what we've already talked about, the fact that all the teams are playing.
Yep.
But not only are the teams all playing, but some of the teams that were out, you would expect that, they probably are not going to play real well because,
Yeah.
they've been out for
You
so
would think the
long.
first game back, especially, would be a tough one. They'd be
You would
rusty.
think.
Actually, a lot of the teams have been, but there's been a few that have stood out that have had really good returns. I think I know where you're going with this.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry because we saw two examples
Yep.
of the exact opposite thing that happened. New
Exactly
Jersey
opposite of
came
what you
out.
would expect.
Yes, New Jersey came out and they came out and they played their first game and looked really good and won. And then they played their second game and looked pretty darn good and won that game too.
Oh, they looked really good against Boston last night.
Yeah. And then you had Philly, who now New Jersey is not missing anybody still, are they? They don't have a whole.
Nico Hischier is the only one left now on the COVID list.
Okay,
everyone else is back.
Okay, but they really haven't had him much of the year.
No, he missed the whole first part before
That's
going
what I
on the
mean.
COVID list with injury. So
Right.
they've been playing without Hischier all season.
Right. So that doesn't really matter. Okay, the fact that he's not there because they played almost the whole year without him.
Mm-hmm.
But almost their whole team is back, whereas the Flyers still have 6 guys that are, and not just.
Oh, yeah, the Flyers have important players out.
Yeah, Giroux, they're not just 6 guys.
Giroux, Voracek, Konechny, Lawton, like they have big players
out. The heart
out.
of the team.
Yeah.
And we came out, the Flyers came out and played. I was highly impressed with the defense. Mm-hmm. I thought the defense looked the very best that it's ever looked all season. And the fact that we lost in the shootout, the Flyers are the worst shootout team in the whole world. Carter Hart played an awesome game the whole way through. And then we get to the shootout and it was like, who? What? Oh, he's made of Swiss cheese? Okay.
Yeah. Shootouts are tough. It's weird. Some teams are very, very good in shootouts, and other teams are very, very bad in shootouts. And it usually is like hard one way or the other.
Yeah. There's no medium.
No,
it's
you're
either really good or you're really crappy.
Not. Yeah. And goalies are like that too. A lot of goalies, like they're either really good in shootouts or they're really bad in shootouts.
Yeah. I mean, and they're good at like penalty shots because that's like during the game, you're in the heat of the game, and that's just another save during the game, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But the whole penalty shot or the whole shootout thing, you get like a 5-minute break.
Mm-hmm.
You go skate over to the bench, and you have a couple of minutes, and you're not really sure who's gonna be the first person you're gonna see, and I'm just not a fan of it at all. I hate the fact that it decides games.
We talked about that a few episodes ago. Yeah, I won't go on that tangent again, but we both don't like the shootout.
No. But we saw the exact opposite. We saw New Jersey miss a long amount of time and come out and slinging it.
3 weeks. Yeah.
And not that they just beat the Rangers, they beat Boston.
Yeah. No, I did that game. I streamed that game, and
I know.
Boston played like absolute garbage. I mean, it was
the
worst game I've seen the Bruins play all year, but New Jersey was so good. Just absolutely shut them down in every aspect of the game. Out-skated them, out-hit them, outworked them, outshot them. New Jersey just controlled that game.
Yeah.
And I was really shocked to see that. And I'm telling you, I think New Jersey could be a sleeper team this year.
And Blackwood is
legit.
Wow.
And I said this about him last year. I said if the team in front of him got better, that he would be a Vezina candidate. And the team in front of him is playing a lot better this season than they did last year. And look at the numbers Blackwood's putting up. The kid is unbelievable.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that one, my man. I definitely agree because I that's why I had them as part of my top stories. The fact that New Jersey was able to just come out and say, "What COVID? We didn't
Yeah.
have no COVID."
They've played great in these 2 games back, and I hope it continues. New Jersey's
Yeah.
a team that I like to root for. They're a good young team coming out of a rebuild that I just even though, they're in the same division as the Bruins, like I enjoy rooting for that New Jersey team. Like they're a likable team in my opinion.
They have some. I'm have to go to agree with you. I mean, look, I have a difficult history with New Jersey, being a Philadelphia Flyers fan.
Oh
So
yeah, for sure.
I have hard time history with New Jersey, but I will say this: Lindy Ruff really has that team playing well.
Oh yeah.
Hughes has been freaking lights out.
Everybody calling him a bust last year looks so dumb now.
I mean, I don't. You can't do that to a first round draft pick, because if you look at Lafreniere right now,
Yeah,
he's a
really
bust. Oh
struggling.
gosh, he's a bust. He's hardly scoring. He's not on the stat sheet. Blah 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 blah. Look,
Give the kid a break. He's 19.
that's what I mean.
He's 19. Hughes, it was the same thing with Hughes
Exactly.
and Capo Caco last year. They're teenagers.
And look at Kako now. Oh my gosh, dude. Hey, well, hey. I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you.
My rule's 3 years. You gotta wait at least 3 years before you can drop that B word.
I'm with you on a first round draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta give them 3 years.
Well,
you can say that they look like a bust. Like Nail Yakupov was a bust from the start.
Yeah.
But before you can say it looks like it, but until you can't actually drop that word for 3 years, I think you got to give these kids a chance to develop.
Well, let me put it to you like this: I'm with you on the 3 years, but I have to cut that to 2 years if they come out and play their rookie year. If they come out and play their rookie year the whole year and play that whole year, I'm not expecting anything much. But that second year, I'm expecting a little bit more. And everybody says, "Oh, it's the sophomore slump and blah blah blah." No, look. Here's the thing. That first year, every player hits the wall because they only play 2/3 of the games in juniors, right? There's another 25 more games to play here in the pros, right? So a lot of the rookies, a lot of them guys,
more, I think,
get to that 56th game and they're out of steam at that point. You know what I mean? And so that's why I don't expect a lot out of guys that are first round draft picks to play their first year. The second year, I expect to see improvement or going in the right direction. But if they don't play the first year, then I do agree 3 years is more of a judge before you start calling them a bust.
Yeah, I still give them 3 because
I do kind of agree with you though.
Even at 3 years, you're drafted at 18. You're 3 years in. You're still only 21. Some guys don't get going until 23, 24.
I'm with you, and some guys don't physically mature.
Yeah,
until they're 21 as well too. So I do agree with you on that.
Yeah, that's what changed everything for Jack Hughes. I think someone told me, because I did a video on Jack Hughes a while back now, a few weeks, more towards the beginning of the season. But someone told me, because I talked a lot about how much stronger he is this year and how much more physically ready for the NHL he is this season
12 or 13 pounds
compared to last season. And someone in the comments told me that he put on 15 pounds this offseason.
Yeah.
So the physical maturity of these kids when they're still only 18, 19, when they get a full, weight training program, NHL level nutrition and weight training program going, they put on weight and they put on muscle. And they're in a lot better shape their second and third seasons as they get physically built for the NHL, which they probably weren't physically built for at 18 years old their rookie year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And let's face it, most teams nowadays have full-time nutritionists.
Oh, yeah.
And full-time people on there that are watching over,
trainers and strength and conditioning.
That's what I'm talking about. Come on. It's not, look, there's no off season.
No, you're working.
Isn't.
You're working year round, pretty much.
That's what I mean.
Physically, at least.
Yeah, you're not skating every day, and you're not playing games every day. But really, if you stop doing that stuff, then you lose everything that you've worked so hard to get.
Yeah,
So
there's
that's all
all
I'm saying.
kinds of off-season training programs and all that where these guys never stop. I mean,
Right.
they might have, a day off here and there, but really they're working out every day all the time.
Exactly. I
They're
mean,
always in shape.
this is a full-time job.
Yep.
To be a professional athlete is a full-time job.
Mhm.
That means that you have to be sweating and working out on
All
a,
on a regular basis all the time.
more than once or twice a week. Yeah,
Yes.
you know what I mean?
I'm
Okay.
I'm happy if I go for a nice like 2-mile walk a couple times a week. These guys, that doesn't work for them.
I look, I would just settle for being able to walk.
Yeah,
All right.
that's
So
true.
I'll start with that first, and
That's
then we'll
true.
go with how far I can walk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing, and you have to talk about that kind of stuff because that's a major contributor
Mhm.
to what's going on here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm sorry, I know, but the fact that you said that every single team was playing, and then that my second uh top story of the week was the fact that New Jersey came out and just
Yep.
kicked butt from being out from COVID. I was like, well, all right. Oh gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, and one of those teams that they just kicked in the teeth last night, Boston, brings me to my third top story here. Some of these top teams, actually most of them, are starting to face some adversity here. These teams that were really, really hot out of the gate, Toronto, Boston, Tampa Bay, these high-level elite teams are starting to at least get some tougher competition and starting to at least pick up a few in the loss column here or there. Tampa Bay dropped 2 out of 3 to the Florida Panthers, who now Florida looks like one of the absolute best teams. I'm sure we're going to be talking about them quite a bit the rest of the episode.
Promise.
The Panthers are off to an unreal start, but
Yeah.
Tampa's lost 2 out of their last 3.
Yeah.
Boston has lost 2 games in regulation now in a row for the first
Washington
time.
dropped 4 in a row.
For the first time this season, Washington has now gotten back on track, but had a 4-game losing streak in there.
Yep.
Who am I? Oh, Toronto. They blew a
Toronto.
5-1 lead to the Senators, the
Yep.
worst team in the league, and ended up losing that game in overtime. They've come back and beat the Senators twice since then, but like all of these top teams who were really just
Put up
kind of
16 points on them, but hey.
yeah. They all these top teams that were kind of just like breezing through the season for the first month have finally started to hit some adversity, and they're realizing that it's not going to be a cakewalk for all 56 games, and that they're actually no matter how good you are, you're going to have points in the season where things aren't going perfectly and you're not playing your best. And I think we've seen that all kind of hit at once for all of these top teams.
I agree because you've seen where Boston was playing so well, and it's not like they didn't expect to lose, they were expecting to win, and so they were doing everything that needed to be done in order to win those games. Well, that's not really happening right now.
Yep.
Right. And the same thing with Washington there. They had that little 4-game skid, but now they've rewrited the ship there. And then of course you had that doinger game there with the Florida and Tampa Bay Lightning, and they kind of traded blows there back and forth there for those couple of games.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they've kind of dropped a little bit too. And even like we had Dallas in our top power rankings, and they've kind of dropped off as well too.
Yeah, they haven't been overly impressive. They started out the first 2 weeks they played, they were really good, but since then they haven't been overly impressive.
Exactly. And here's the thing, that in spite of some of the top teams facing some adversity, you're still seeing some of the top teams though rise to the cream.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
Because my third top story was Austin Matthews for Toronto.
What an unreal year he's having.
I every time I look, every time I turn around, you can't escape this name. Okay? And the fact that Toronto has taken a few hits across the bow,
Yep.
and they've had some scraps with Montreal and Ottawa, And we're going to talk about some of their upcoming games here too, where they're going to have some even more scraps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I think their schedule is getting a little bit more where I think exactly with what you said, that some of those top teams are going to start to see some more adversity,
Yep.
where Toronto is going to start playing more games against Montreal and more games against teams that are playing better, Vancouver, Edmonton. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
Yep, for sure. I think they have Calgary coming up soon as
yep,
well.
yep.
And
And Calgary's been playing a little better too.
that's not going to be an easy game. I mean,
No.
that's not going to be an easy one. So I agree. You look at these teams and they're going to be facing adversity. You knew it wasn't going to be a cakewalk all year long, but the way that they started the year, just so hot and just
Right.
ripping through everybody, it was like, wow, this is impressive. And now we're starting to see them take a little bit of a punch back from the rest of their divisions who want to try and knock them down a pedestal.
I'm with you. But all of the teams, all of the
Mhm.
top teams have taken a punch to the mouth.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, even like everybody looks at Philadelphia and they say, "Oh, okay, well they're 8-2-3 or what, 8-3-2 or whatever," and oh, that's a good record, and they're doing really well. But they've kind of taken a punch to the mouth too.
Mm-hmm.
They faced a little bit of adversity, and I think that with Washington, with them losing their players for those number of games and then losing 4 games in a row, that's some adversity. We all thought Washington would be up there.
Up there, for sure.
The fact that Boston now has not only lost to New Jersey, but they lost to the Islanders too.
Twice, yeah, they've lost twice this year.
That's what I mean. And so, I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry, bro. But the little trophy there in Boston's getting a little ding and a little tarnish on it, man. I'm sorry.
Well, this game coming up Sunday is going to be huge for both of these teams.
It's almost a must-win game for both
for
clubs.
both teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a big game because Boston really knows that if they're going to stay in first place, I mean, they've got to pick up 2 points there.
Exactly.
And Philly, I know they've got a lot of guys out, but they'll never use that as an excuse. And they know that, you look at that East Division, those teams are just stacked on top of each other. One night could drastically change the entire standings there.
Exactly. And you can't sit idle for that long and expect to not still be able to keep up, and you got to be able to come out swinging.
Yep.
And even though they got the point against the Rangers, which is going to help because points is points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this game here against Boston is definitely has more of a feel of this has to be a win. Because the next game is going to be against the Rangers. So Philadelphia has got some time in between games here.
Yep, they're going
to have... And the sad thing is that they're not going to have the guys that are missing on the list are not going to be at the outdoor game, but they should be available for the Wednesday game next week.
Hopefully, yeah. And the Rangers, they don't have a great record, but they're not just going to roll over, and especially against a rival like Philly and New York. When the Rangers and Flyers play, that is a rivalry game.
Just like when Philly and Boston play, man, that's true straight up. I mean, I think that's going to be the best game of the outdoor.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Because I'm really excited for it. And when those two teams go at it, it's a good time.
But I have to say though, Austin Matthews, man, he's got 16.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
In 17 games. I mean, wow. What? Where did this guy come from? Oh, look.
I think we know who's leading the league in goals this year.
You think?
I don't think he's getting caught. No, unless he gets injured and misses a significant amount of time, no one's catching Matthews.
Probably not.
No one's catching Matthews at this point.
Nope, probably not. I mean, there's some people out there that's got, close to the same number of points.
Yeah, that's his goal total, not his point totals.
Right, that's his goal total. Yeah, right. No, but I'm talking about players out there with the same number of points that he has.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's pretty much running away with it. So that's why I had to mention that, because you don't go with 16 goals in 17 games and not make the top story of the week.
No, that's incredible. I'm just going to pull up I want to see who's next closest. So, goals in the NHL. Austin Matthews leads the league at 16. Brock Besser is in second place, 4 back at 12. So, I don't think Besser's catching Matthews. I don't think anybody's
Okay,
catching
what about
Matthews.
where's McDavid? He should be
Goals wise, he's probably around 10. He's got more assists than goals for sure. He leads the league in points.
yeah.
McDavid's got 32 points, but 23 of them are assists, which means he has 9 goals.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, hey, yeah. Like I said, man, you can't go 17 games and score 16 goals without making it one of the top stories of the week. So.
Absolutely. So Matthews has been absolutely tearing it up this year and definitely deserves some credit for that. So there's top stories, and that's going to bring us to our first commercial break. So you will be seeing a commercial from Canine Country Club Resorts. We are a sponsor here at Steel Flyers. We really, really want to thank them for all their support and their sponsorship here. It really does mean a lot, and they do phenomenal work with all the dogs and animals there at CCC Resorts. And here's their commercial now.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have 2 very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations, both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. Both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail Dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. a full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
And we are back, everybody. Again, huge thank you to Canine Country Club Resorts, our show sponsor here, and our sponsor at steelflyers.com. Really, really appreciate all of their support. But it's time to get into our next segment now, where we will be talking about the best game from this past week in the NHL. Obviously, there were a lot of great games, but definitely one that stood out to me, and I think it stood out to Steel as well. So, best game of the week. What do you got?
Oh gosh, like I said, there were so many to choose from, and it was so hard to pick which game to zero in on, because as I've watched the season progress, I've watched the skill and the quality of the hockey increase. Okay, this year has been some of the best hockey I've ever watched in my life. I'm just going to come right out and say that. And we've watched some really good games so far.
Absolutely.
Okay. But to me, the game that stood out this past week was the Florida Panthers versus the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yep.
That was the game on the 17th of February.
Yes.
Florida won that game 4-3 in the overtime.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something, man. There was something in that game that I haven't seen in a really, really long time. A blind spinorama pass.
Tape to tape.
Tape to tape.
Huberdeau.
Past two defenders' sticks.
Yep.
Past a sprawling goalie to a perfect pass.
And a goal. Huberdeau with the assist of the year.
Oh my God! Look, when I saw that in real time, I think I had whatever was in my mouth spilled out. Right, because I had to find and search for the remote to rewind that so I could watch that again.
Yep.
I just, wow. Okay. Who knew?
Yeah.
Huberdeau.
I mean, he's always been a great passer, but that was an unreal play. I haven't. It's hard to find many plays that stack up as far as assists go to that one. I mean, just to spin around like that and not even look, just like rip it in front, tape to tape, right onto his stick for a goal is just unreal. That was also my game of the week as well. We agreed on this one. To me, there was no doubt this was the best game.
Yeah.
It was an absolute roller coaster of a game too. Carolina got out to a 2-0 lead. Florida came storming back and actually took the lead 3-2. And then Carolina, I think it was Trocheck, tied it in the third. And they go to overtime, and then Huberdeau ends up winning it for Florida in the overtime period. But what a hockey game. I mean, great skill displayed throughout the game. Good amount of goals. Just a really fun and exciting game, and that was my game of the week as well.
How could you not? I mean, it had everything.
Yep.
I mean, there was some chippiness, you know. There was, you know, one team took the lead, then the other team took the lead.
Yep.
There was, you know, then you had the overtime. You had some of this. That was the sickest assist I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of great passes. There's certainly been some, but that was so cool.
If you've ever watched Peter Forsberg play, man, I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah, one of the main reasons I loved the Avalanche as a kid.
Okay, that guy right there, man, that guy knew how to pass. Okay, and he had some sick passes to make some plays, right? And another guy that was really good at that too was LaPointe, I think is I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but there was another guy that used to do that really well too. But the being able to do those kind of passes like that and make those kind of plays like that. I mean, we are seeing some of the best skill in the NHL right now, I think, than we have in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, this is the most talented the league has ever been. I mean, just the level of skill and the level of play in the league right now is unreal. Nothing like we've ever seen before. And each year it just keeps getting better because the players are more skilled at a younger age, and it just continues to trend in that direction. So it's unbelievable. I mean, it's a treat to watch night in and night out.
I mean, all you have to do is check out our prospect watch, right?
Yeah.
And those the kids that we talk about are impact players, are players that were picked in the draft a year or two ago that are now starting to make impact in the NHL. You know what I mean? And that's why I love that we do that, because we get on the cutting edge of the next player that's coming up. And exactly with what you said, the players are there's so much more talent and skill in the younger players now, because now there's more programs.
Yes.
For the younger generation. When I went to high school, you could go out for basketball, you could go out for golf, tennis, baseball, football.
Yep.
The field hockey.
Yep.
Right, and soccer.
Yep.
Okay. Well, when my cousin graduated in the middle 2000s, they had an ice hockey team. They had a lacrosse team. What?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, they didn't have that when I was there.
Yep.
And there's more and more places like that in the United States where high school hockey has become a real serious thing.
Yep.
And travel leagues. I have a really good friend of mine whose son was really into that's what they were doing. They're the travel leagues for the hockey. Okay. And that's a major thing in the United States.
Yeah.
Okay?
The sport's getting more and more
great.
popular. Yep. It's getting more and more popular, and kids are getting into it more and more at a younger age, and the skill level is increasing because of that, because they're starting to play at 4 or 5 years old, and they're playing on these travel teams as kids and getting all this experience, and then they're playing at these really good high schools and prep schools and stuff, and then they're going on and playing NCAA college hockey, and then you're seeing way more NCAA players into the NHL than you ever have before as well. So just the level of play in the United States, it continues to get better. Canada, I mean, it's always been incredible, but it's getting even better there too. You've got European players coming in at a whole other level. Like, just the whole level of hockey in the world and
is getting better.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why we're getting a better games and better level of play in the NHL, because all those years of building up to that is now, those kids are reaching the NHL now.
And they're reaching the NHL sooner.
Yeah, you've got a lot of 19, 20-year-olds in the NHL, as opposed to how it used to be when it was 24, 25 before you got there.
Like you would draft a player, and I mean, you would look at that player and go, "Yeah, we drafted him in 2020." Well, you look at him and go, "Yeah, we won't see him for 5 or 6 years."
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yep. It's now a couple years they're in.
Yeah, and especially if you're a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
You're coming in way sooner.
Yep.
Because you're you're a much more skilled player than, even the second-round guys. I mean, for the most part. I'm not trying to sit here and say that there aren't guys that, are just as good as guys in the second, third, and fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh round that are as good as guys in the first round. It's just, you always find those odd diamonds in the rough. But,
Jamie Benn, Joe Pavelski, 7th round pick.
I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yep.
But I'm with you on that. And the fact that we're seeing better play, better talent, younger talent coming into the league sooner. You know what I mean?
And
So,
playing big roles sooner. Like even back in the 80s and 90s, you had young kids come in. It wasn't nearly as common as it is now, but you still had younger kids coming in, but they were like, it took them a while to really become impact players. They were on the third and fourth lines for a bit before they really played an impact.
7-8 minutes a game.
Yeah, now you have Austin Matthews scoring 4 goals in his first career NHL game. Like, and at the age of 22, 23, being one of the absolute best goal scorers in the league.
Yeah, exactly.
And now, he's got he's either 23, he was 2015, so he's either 23 or 24 now. He's might be the best pure goal scorer in the NHL right now. I think Ovechkin would still have something to say about that, but Matthews is right there.
Yeah,
Matthews is
I'd
right
put that
there.
with you. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would put that in the same.
And
because
there's a lot of young players making a big impact. Look at Jack Hughes. We talked about him earlier. Just this season. 19 years old, and look at what he's doing this year for New Jersey after a not so good rookie season, and he's still playing at the level that in his second year now, where he was taken first overall, and he is a 19-year-old kid who's become a dominant player in the NHL.
Was it that Cousins kid that we were talking about in our Prospect Watch a couple of shows ago that's lighting it up for Buffalo?
With Buffalo, Dylan Cousins, yeah.
Cousins, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What has he got? 10 or 11 points now?
Yeah, he unfortunately was on that COVID list for a bit, which cut down some time. But when he comes back, I can't wait to see what he looks like again.
Exactly.
But yeah, the talent's unreal in the NHL, and that's why we're getting such good games. And speaking of unreal talent, that brings us perfectly into 3 stars of the week. So this is where we look back on the past week in the NHL and pick our 3 stars of the week that we think should be kind of pointed out for this past week, starting from last Friday through last night's games, obviously. Number 3 star, we'll alternate 3, 2, 1 up and down up our list here. Steele, you can take this one.
Right.
Number 3 star of this past week.
Number 3 star of this past week for me is going to be the goalie from the Los Angeles Kings, a name that we haven't talked about in forever.
He hasn't had a good year up until this past week. Is just unreal.
Like,
the old man comes back like it's 2014 again.
That's right. Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings, man.
Yeah.
2 games
had a huge
played.
week.
2 games played, and he had a good week. He's 2-0 for that. He had a shutout during that week. He played amazing. He only let in 2 goals, right? So in those 2 games, and he had one of those games was a shutout as well too. So I'm always looking for those goalies and shutouts, because as soon as I find a shutout for a goalie, to me that's a star of the week. Because the reason why I say that is because that's a stupidly hard thing to do. Are you kidding me? To sit there and play an entire game, 108, 9, 10, whatever minutes it is, right, for the entire game, and not let in a single shot.
Yep.
Come on. That to me, that's at least a 3rd star if you ask me. All day long. Yeah. So, but he played really well this week. And I wanted to give him a little love because he hasn't played as well as we've seen him play in the past.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the fact that this was probably his best week now for quite a while.
Quite a while, for sure.
Yeah. Not that there wasn't good goalies out there to choose from. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I'll be talking about one in a minute.
Right?
Not too long from now.
Right? Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But I had to go with Jonathan Quick because of how he played and what he was able to do this week. So that, to me, my 3rd star of the week is Jonathan Quick. 2 games played, a .960 goals against average, a .96 save percentage, and 1 shutout, 2-0 in those 2 games.
Very, very good week. Turning back the clock, 2014, Jonathan Quick has returned at least for 1 week here.
Yeah, right? A little bit of shine on there.
Yeah.
And your number 3 star of the week is
J.G. Pageau from the New York Islanders. Not often you get third-line centers as a star of the week, but this guy played 4 games this week. He had 4 goals, 1 assist for 5 points and a +4 rating.
Wow.
Getting it done at both ends of the ice. I mean, I'm
Yep.
a huge fan of JG Pageau. I love the way he plays. He's such a fun guy to watch. He's defensively responsible. He can add offense, obviously, 5 points in 4 games. Kills penalties, goes to the net, plays with a chip on his shoulder. I'm a huge fan personally. Plays my style of hockey, and what a week for him. I mean, 4 goals. I mean, 2 of them were absolute snipes against Buffalo. That were just unbelievable goals coming down the wing and just
They
from
were
pretty far out, just putting it under the bar
I
and
know.
past the Buffalo goaltender. One was on Ullmark, one was on Hutton. It was almost the same goal.
Yeah.
It was just awesome to see. So a goal per game for JG Pageau this week, and he definitely gets on my list as the number 3
Agreed. And the fact that not only that, but it's great to see third liners with good plus ratings.
Yeah, and he's very good defensively, which
That's what I
helps out
mean.
a lot. Yep.
Because that's where you pull that defensive side. That makes him a 200-foot responsible player. And when you get a good player like that who's able to be a plus player and still be able to put that amount of points and goals and assists on the board, and being on a third line, especially in a Barry Trotz system. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I can't argue with that third star.
No.
So let's stay on the John side and say the number 2 star for Mr.
Well, I have a goalie to talk about who had the best save percentage in the NHL over the past week. It is
What? A goalie?
Yes, it is
Hark?
Kevin Lankinen from the Chicago Blackhawks. And
oh yeah,
this kid's been unbelievable all year. If I was voting for the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year, guess who's getting my vote? Kevin Lankinen right now. He's been a godsend for the Chicago Blackhawks. And Chicago is winning a lot of games, and they are right up there, pushing up near the top of the Central Division. And a big reason why, Kevin Lankinen. This kid has been unreal. This past week, he went 2-0-0 with a .967 save percentage.
Wow.
And
I have a feeling we're going to be talking more about Chicago later, huh?
Absolutely. And a goals against average of 1 in those 2 games.
Wow.
Just a phenomenal performance for him. And I believe he did. Yeah, he shut out the Red Wings on Wednesday night.
Yep.
He shut out the Red Wings. So
I mean, it's the Red Wings, but okay.
Still true. But still, I mean,
that's points in my book.
What this kid as a rookie goaltender, what he's been able to do this year, I think deserves a ton of credit. And he's the main reason Chicago's where they're at in the standings. And he's been absolutely phenomenal this year. So I am all aboard the Kevin Lankinen train, and I hope that he can keep it up because he's been fantastic.
For sure. I'm with you on that. I, too, have been deeply impressed. And I had a hard time picking. Like I said, I tried to put a goalie in there, and I was looking at Blackwood, and then I was looking at Lankinen, and then I was looking at Jonathan Quick, and I just went, I'm going to go with the old man.
Yeah, well, I got you covered with the new kid. So.
Right. So I thought, all right, if I do the old man, John will take the young guy. All right, cool. So my second star of the week is a fella from the Edmonton Oilers. And I know that our good buddies up there in the far north are going to enjoy hearing about this, especially Peyton on the radio and Pearl of Wisdom. Yep. I'm going with Leon Draisaitl from the Edmonton Oilers.
Yep, he had a good week.
Yeah, and in this last week, 2 games played, he had 2 goals. One of them was a power play goal. He's been that player that Edmonton's needed him to be. He's been that, that glue.
Yep.
That kind of, he's been that playmaker. He's been that, you know what I mean? He's been that push for Edmonton,
Exactly.
And that to me, and he's not only is he doing it, in the room and on the bench, but he's doing it on the ice.
Yep.
Okay. And his skill is starting to shine through more so now too. And you're starting to see Edmonton climb out a little bit and starting to, put some couple of more games together. And I think the reason why is because of Draisaitl.
Okay. Yeah, no, he's been really good. He He had 2 goals in the game against Winnipeg on Wednesday night. And that was a really good performance from him. And the Oilers were able to pick up a big win in that one that they desperately needed because they had been starting to lose it a little bit. But that was a big win for them to get back on track. And now they're heading into a huge game tonight against Calgary. And then they got Calgary again tomorrow in a home-and-home back-to-back set. So Draisaitl, I mean, he's been really, really good all season, picking up right where he left off. McDavid's also had a great year. The big guns are doing what they need to do for the Oilers. The Oilers' issue is they need the rest of that team to get going.
Exactly. We need the rest to come in behind. You know what I mean? Like, hey, come on, what's going on?
Absolutely.
All right. So, do you want to go with your number 1 star of the week? Yeah, let's have John go with his number 1 star of the week.
To me, this was easy. I did not have any issue picking this. This was Austin Matthews for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I had no questions about this. 4 games played, 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points and a +1 rating, over 2 points per game this past week for Austin Matthews, including 5 goals in 4 games, which is absolutely unbelievable. He obviously leads the league right now in goals with 16 on the year. Off to just a ridiculous start, goal scoring wise here. And without a doubt, he stands out to me. When I looked at the stat sheet, he stood out as the number 1 star.
Couldn't argue with you on this one. He's my number 1 star of the week as well for the exact same reasons. 2 power play goals, being a +1. Not only is he, putting the points up on the board, but he's being responsible. You know what I mean? Gosh, this guy has just, look, Toronto has just been explosive.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't just score 2 or 3 goals a game. They score 5, 6, 7 goals a game.
Most of the time, yeah. They've got a very good offense.
That would be a understatement, I would have to say. Yeah. And the main reason why is Mr. Matthews with 16 goals in 17 games.
Yeah.
I mean, that's number 1 star as far as I'm concerned.
Do you think he can score 50 and 56? That's something that would have been, guys have scored 50 and 50 back in the day, but
he did it in he didn't need the whole season.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think Gretzky did 50 in like 40 something games once.
Right.
Yeah. And I know Cam Neely in the 90s for the Bruins scored 50 and 50, but the game was so different back then. That's why I bring up this question, because goal scoring was through the roof back then. Like, guys were putting up point totals that you don't see anymore.
Like the way Austin Matthews is now.
Yes, that's why I brought up this question. Can he sustain this for the entire year? Can he score 50 and 56?
As long as he doesn't get hurt.
That would be nuts if he hits the 50-goal mark in 56 games, because we haven't seen that level of scoring since like the 90s.
If he gets to within, I'd say 30. If he gets to the 30 mark,
in around like right at 30 games or somewhere around there, he definitely could.
Then yes. Then I would say yes.
Oh, that's something to watch for the rest of this year. Is his goal scoring pace, because that's a pace.
Matthews watch.
That's a pace we haven't seen in like probably 25 years. Because once as the 90s went along, the game got more defensive. The trap came in, and goal scoring,
the clutching and the grabbing, and stuff
goal
like that.
Scoring went way down.
And they actually increased the size of the pads.
Yep.
Every couple of years they do that. They change the size of the pads for the goalies and stuff like that. And I think
that would be
the 1 year they changed the blue paint where it extended past the crossbar or extended past the pipe by 1 foot on either side. And then they brought that back into where it's only to where the goalie net is now. And so, I mean, it's freaking crazy.
If he scores 50 and 56 in the modern NHL, that would be pretty darn equivalent to what Gretzky did back when he was scoring like 50 goals in 40-something games or whatever it was. Like, that would be pretty equivalent because of the difference in eras that we're in now. Compared
and the fact that it's a compressed season and everything. Yeah, I'm with you.
That would be nuts. But as we were talking about Matthews, that just popped into my head. What if he scores 50 and 56?
Wow.
That would be insane.
Wait. What if he did it in less than 50 games? Because Gretzky did it right?
I don't know. That would be tough. I don't think he's going to do that. I give
Okay.
him a shot at 50 and 56. I don't think he's
Okay.
going to have 50 and less than 50. Not in the modern game.
But we both agree, though, that if he gets to 30 goals by the halfway mark, we think he's going to be there.
He'll definitely have a shot, barring injury or anything like that. Absolutely.
Right, barring injury.
Yeah, if we're 30 games into the season, if he scores 30 and 30, he definitely can do 50 and 56.
I mean, the fact that they're scoring 5, 6, 7 goals a game, come on.
And he's got 16 and 17 games. So I mean, if he gets a hat trick in his next game, you're looking at
20 goals.
You're looking at 19 goals in 18 games. I mean, you're almost to 20 at that point. That's something to watch. I didn't even think about it until right now, but that is something to watch the rest of this season is Matthews' goal scoring pace, and if he's able to pull something like that off.
With you on that, man. With you. I think we should keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I'll be watching that for sure. All right, time to move on. We're already down up to an hour and 15 in, and we're still at hottest and coldest teams. So we're gonna go through this one on the quicker side. Hopefully, 3 hottest and 3 coldest teams in the NHL. I like to start with the positive, so we're gonna go hottest first here. Why don't Steele, give me your top 3, and then just talk a little bit about why you have them in that order.
All right, I'll start off number 3, and then I'll go from 3 to 1.
Yep.
As far as hottest teams, my number 3 hottest team is New Jersey. 6-3-1 in their last 10 games. They've won 3 in a row.
Yep.
They had a COVID break, and they came out and played really, really well and beat the Rangers, and played really, really well and beat Boston.
Absolutely.
So for me, that earns you a hot team of the week spot on the list. That's in the top 3. My number 2 is Chicago. 7-2-1 in the last 10. They've won 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. And it's exactly because of your number 2 star of the week, as because of Lincoln, and has been playing so bloody well.
Yes.
And who would have thunk that they would be rebuilding in Chicago?
Yeah.
Right?
And now they're second in the division. What kind of rebuild is this? You're not supposed to be second in the division.
Let me put it to you like this. If this is a rebuild, man, I really hate to see what's going to be a complete and utter start from the ground up.
The 2010 through 2015 Blackhawks are going to be back sooner rather than later at the rate they're going.
Right. There you go. My number 1 hottest team of the league, of the week, is definitely the Toronto Maple Leafs. 7-1-2, won 2 in a row. They did drop that little bit there against Florida.
Yep.
Or not Florida, but
Ottawa. That was a bad loss, but it was just one loss. As easy it is to make fun of them for it, because you should never lose a game when you're up 5-1. It's only one loss.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that that was the one game. Like, really? That's it? One game? Okay, come on. So for me, it's New Jersey number 3, Chicago number 2, and Toronto number 1 as my 3 hottest teams so far this week. Combined, that's both teams at the bottom. New Jersey has 3 wins in a row, Chicago 3 wins in a row, and Toronto with 2 wins in a row. Yeah. So to me, those are my hottest teams. And you are?
My list is very similar. I mean, I might as well go 1 through 3, because I also have Toronto at number 1, same as you. 7-1-2 in their last 10 games. That's the best record in last 10 for any team in the NHL right now. Only 1 regulation loss. Also,
there's teams that would kill for that record right now.
Oh yeah. And they're on a 2-game win streak, like you said. At number 2, I also have the Chicago Blackhawks, just like you. 7-2-1 in their last 10 games on a 3-game win streak. The only difference I have is number 3. I have the Florida Panthers.
To me, this was one of those. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, New Jersey.
So the New Jersey,
they beat Boston. That's why I put New Jersey.
New Jersey, I would have had it 4 if this list went longer. But Florida has 1 more win in their last 10 than the Devils. They are also 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. Same record as Chicago. The only reason I put Chicago 1 ahead was because of the win streak. Chicago's on a 3-game win streak. Florida's on a 2. But they've been very similar over this past stretch here. Both have the same record, and both are playing phenomenal hockey right now. They're both playing right now, so I don't know how their games have gone tonight. But again, this is based off of up until tonight through last night's game.
Up until last night. Yeah. So, but I'm with you though, man. For me, it was tough between Florida, New Jersey, and if I like you, if this list went one more, I would have Florida as my number 14.
So we just flip-flop 3 and 4.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm really impressed with how Florida has played, especially with what they did against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Winning 2 of those 3 games against the Lightning were huge for the Panthers. And it's funny, 2 of these 3 teams are surprise teams, I would say. Chicago, no one expected to be here.
Right.
And Florida, no one expected to be this good. So these pleasant surprises are really starting to show off here.
Exactly. And we'll take that all day. So now we go from the hot side. Now we go to the cold side.
Yes.
Right? And so let's go with John's 3 coldest teams of this week.
Yes, number 3, the Ottawa Senators. They almost got themselves off the list this week, but they are still on at number 3. 3-7-0 in their last 10 games. They did get that huge come-from-behind win against the Maple Leafs, which was obviously nice for them, but they've lost their last 2 games, also all against the Maple Leafs. And again, 3-7-0 is the second worst record in the NHL in the past 10 games for any team right now in the league. So I have Ottawa at 3. At number 2, I have the Nashville Predators making their first coldest team appearance on the list this season. And I have a feeling it probably won't be their last if they've been pretty brutal so far this year.
Probably not.
Also 3-7-0 and also on a 2-game losing streak. So exact same record, exact same streak as the Senators. The reason I put Nashville at 2 and not at 3 was because Ottawa did have that comeback win over the Leafs. And I will say this, Ottawa has been playing better. Ottawa has looked better over the past couple weeks than they did certainly the first 2 weeks of the season. They're trying to get their game on track a little bit. Nashville is going the other way. That Nashville's just been even the games that they've won, they haven't looked good in. So I'm really disappointed with the Predators, and they are number 2 on my list for coldest. And that leaves number 1. I think everybody can guess who it is. They're pretty much a stalwart of this list every week. The Detroit Red Wings, worst record in the league in the past last 10 games, 2-6-2, only 2 wins in their last 10. They lost their last game in regulation. They got shut out by the Blackhawks, who are on the good side of this list. Detroit's my coldest team just because 2 wins in 10 is as bad as it gets right now in the NHL.
I'm with you. I agree.
That's my list. So all these teams are not having a good time right now.
And nobody wants these records at all either. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned for reasons why that you had teams at your rankings. My number 3 coldest team is Nashville because of the fact that they lost that extra game. You know what I mean? The way they lost that extra game there against Columbus, 3-0.
Yeah, they got shut out. They
didn't even look like they showed up.
That's been a reoccurring theme with that Predators team this year, that's on the coach, in my opinion.
Exactly. And that's why I have Ottawa as my second hottest team because of that win against Toronto. Okay, but they still lost 2 in a row. All right. Now, for me, this one was easy for me because, and this totally knocks Detroit off of the list for me, but I put Buffalo.
Well, they have the longest active losing streak,
which is why I have them on here.
L4, I think now for the Sabres.
They've lost 4 in a row. Their record is one different. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10. 3 wins in their last 10 games.
Yeah, same. They've lost a few in overtime to pick up that extra point where not regulation losses, but their losing streak's terrible, and they've looked bad too. Like they've looked really bad.
Exactly. And when you can't come out and show against, now I understand that they're coming back from COVID and they had quite a few people.
Yeah, they had a lot. think they were up to like 10 or 11 guys on that list
something
at
like
one
that.
point.
Yeah. So
a few of them were still on, or were on it when they first came back, are off now, but still haven't played yet, and a few of them are still on it.
That's what I mean. So, okay, maybe Detroit will be back. Maybe Buffalo can turn it around. We'll see.
Where's Taylor Hall and Jack Eichel been?
Right.
I think they've combined for like 3 goals this year.
Right.
Like your superstar players have a combined 3 goals this year.
Not happening up there in Buffalo.
Where are they?
Where are they? You haven't heard from them.
No, Taylor Hall's done nothing.
I mean, you heard from him in the beginning of the season. He was playing there. Taylor Hall played a couple of really good games there.
Yeah, they had like 1 or 2 good games, but since then it's been nothing.
Since then, yep, exactly. So that's why Buffalo is my number 1 coldest team.
Yeah, I probably should have had them on my list.
Ottawa number 2, and then Nashville number 3.
All right, so we have 2 of the 3 the same there. And that's going to do it here for hottest and coldest teams. Obviously, some teams playing very, very well. Other teams, not so much.
Not so much.
That's going to bring us to our second commercial break here. Again, our show sponsor and SteelFlyers.com sponsor, Canine Country Club Resorts. Thank you so much to them for all of their support here. And you will be seeing their commercial here. And when we come back, we will go into always one of the best segments of the show, Top Shelf, where we look at the power rankings currently in the league. And mine have definitely been shaken up this week. So we're going to see some new teams in different, well, at least one new team, but a lot of different stuff. Some different positionings for sure as teams move up and down. So that will be after our commercial break here. But here, a word from Canine Country Club Resorts, our show sponsor. Here you guys go.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have 2 very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of 2 locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taken care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top-notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full-service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
And we are back, everybody. Again, thank you to Canine Country Club Resorts for their sponsorship and their all their support here at Steel Flyers for the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. And we're back now, ready for one of the best and most fun segments that we do during this show. It's Top Shelf. This is always a favorite. Our power rankings, where we look at who we think are the top 5 teams in the NHL right now. So we're going to go back and forth on this one, 5 through 1, starting at number 5 right now in the NHL. Steele, who is your number 5 team?
All right. I agree. I love this section too. This is one of my favorite portions of the show because this gives us a chance to talk about some of the best teams in the league.
Yep.
And right now, I think my number 5 team is going to be Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
Okay. They've been on the list for pretty much since the beginning for me, but they've kind of dropped a little bit there because of that loss to Ottawa. Okay. And
Florida.
I'm sorry, Florida.
Yeah, they had 2 losses to Florida this past week.
So that's why they dropped a little bit.
Yep.
And so, but look, Tampa Bay is still the top team out back there, and until you knock them off, they're going to be on the list for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tampa has certainly been good, and they're on my list a little bit higher up, so I'm going to be talking about them later as well. They're definitely still one of the top 5 teams for sure.
Yeah.
Not a great week for them, but they're still right
still
up
there.
there.
Yep,
And anyone
exactly.
that lineup is just stacked.
Stacked. Agreed. And Stamkos has been playing freaking amazingly. So, all right.
My number 5 team's the Vegas Golden Knights. They're just continuing to roll along. They did lose to Colorado, but they won the first game against the Avalanche that they played. They play the Avalanche 2 more times, which we'll probably be talking about in Games of the Week coming up.
Probably.
When we look ahead. But Vegas is 10-3-1 on the season. They're right there near the top of the West Division. I believe St. Louis is ahead of them, but only because St. Louis has played, I think, 3 more games or something like that, 3 or 4 more games. So once the games in hand catch up, I think Vegas is going to be right there fighting for the top, along with St. Louis and Colorado. But they've continued to play really well. Marc-Andre Fleury has been outstanding in goal.
Oh my gosh.
They're winning low scoring games right now. They're not a super high scoring team, but they play really well defensively, and they're getting high quality goaltending from Marc-Andre Fleury. So they're a tough team to beat. Cannot wait to see them tomorrow outdoors against the Avalanche. I think that's going to be such a fun game and a real test for both of those teams. But Vegas right now is my number 5 team. I wanted to keep them on the list. They're still winning. They're rolling along and winning. No matter which way they need to do it, they're getting the job done.
I'm with you. And I had a hard time not keeping Vegas on the list, but every time I kept turning around, I was like, oh, well, this. And I put St. Louis at number 4.
Okay, so you got St. Louis higher.
Okay.
Yep.
And because of that, they have a little bit more than Vegas right now. I'm not saying that Vegas can't come back onto the list, but for me, I agree with you 100%. I do. Fleury has been playing amazing.
Yep.
The number of shots that he's faced compared to the number of shots that he's stopped has been well over 100 in both categories.
Yep.
Okay. So he is doing nothing short of standing on his head to stop the freaking puck.
Yeah.
And he's been peppered. He's been getting peppered in every game. Okay. So,
yeah, and he's been outstanding in almost every game.
Exactly. So, but I think St. Louis has been kind of catching their stride.
Mhm.
I like what they've done in the last couple of games here. I like how Shen has played.
Yep. Yeah.
And I like how Bennington has
Bennington in goal, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to be the guy.
Bennington.
Bennington. He's got to be the guy because, Ville Husso isn't really a
Right.
proven backup yet. So
Exactly.
Bennington's got a lot of pressure on him.
But he's been stepping up to the pressure.
Yeah, he's good numbers this year.
Yeah, he's been playing very well, and because last year we saw him drop off a little bit.
Yep,
he kind of had that Stanley Cup slump.
Yep.
But this year, boy, he's been like he picked it right up, like right where that Stanley Cup team left off. He's just kind of been right there, and St. Louis has been riding that right along. So I have St. Louis at number 4 on my top 5 rankings of the week. And now, who is your number 4 there, Mr. John?
Boston Bruins dropping hard. They were, I think, my 1 last week. I've dropped them down to 4. 2 straight regulation losses, and not only did they lose, but particularly the game last night against New Jersey, they looked bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was a pathetic performance on the Bruins' part.
I'm with you.
Listen, they're still a top 5 team in the league. Their record is still fantastic. They're still first in the East Division.
Yes.
They're 10-3-2 on the year.
Yes.
But lately, it hasn't been good for them.
No.
It hasn't been a good showing for Boston the last couple of games. So, obviously they got a big one coming up with the outdoor game on Sunday, that maybe they can get things back on track and start looking like they should again. But they've had some injury issues, and they lost David Krejci and Kevin Miller in the last game, and both of those guys will not travel to Lake Tahoe for the Sunday outdoor game. So now not only have they not been playing good, they're losing key pieces out of their lineup as well. Boston's fallen down a little bit here, in my opinion.
Krejci's a big loss for them.
That is a huge loss. Anytime your second line center is gone, that's an issue.
Yeah, that's a big loss for them. You have Boston at number 4.
Yes.
And I have St. Louis at number 4.
Yep.
So I have Boston at number 3.
Okay, so close.
They were higher for me last week as well, but they had to drop because of the 2 games that they lost there, and did not look very well as well.
Yep.
But still finding ways to, if they come out and beat Philadelphia, then okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But, let's face it, and I'm not trying to use this as an excuse. Philadelphia's a pretty depleted team, as we saw against the Rangers. Their defense, I think, is going to be a better defense moving forward.
Yep.
But they're going to lack some of that scoring depth, that the Flyers have been known for, especially that you're going to need against a team like Boston.
Yep.
And Boston, for me, that's my number 3 team.
Okay.
I had to say that because your number 4 team was Boston.
Yep.
So that's why I had to jump with Boston for number 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So who's your number 3 team?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
I got Tampa Bay. They're 10-3-1 still on the year. Obviously, that was a tough series for them against Florida, but I think Florida is a quality opponent, whereas Boston losing to the Islanders, I feel like, Islanders are good, but that's a team the Bruins should beat. New Jersey, they're having a really good year, but that's a team that the Bruins should beat. Florida, they look like one of the best teams, and not to give it away, but they're going to be on my list in a little bit here. That's a tough matchup.
Hint, me too.
So I've got Tampa still at 3. That we talked about that lineup and how stacked it is. They're so good. Yeah. They're looking. I can't drop them too far. Actually, I think I had them at 3 last week because I had Boston, Toronto, Tampa. So
Yeah.
they stayed right in the same spot despite the
Stay right in the
losses.
same spot. Yeah.
I think Tampa Bay's your number 3 team right now, and while they certainly have hit a little bit of a rough patch, it was against a very high quality opponent, and I think the Lightning are going to be fine long term.
Okay. All right. I got you. So I had Tampa Bay at 5 because of their play against Florida. I'm still with you, though. I believe they're a top 5 team. You have them at number 3.
Yep.
You know what I mean? They're starting to play more of a like we didn't think Florida was going to be a quality opponent. Obviously, that's not the case.
We were wrong about the Panthers so far, for sure.
Exactly those reasons. Exactly the fact that they came out and just said, Tampa Bay who?
Yep.
Yeah, we don't know about you. We're going to play our game and we're just going to kick your butt and it's going to be cool.
Yep.
And it's not, and they're not playing bad because of Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky's actually been playing well. Allen's been playing very well too. They're backup. So I mean, they actually got somebody to come in and play better or play as good or equally with Bob, so that Bob doesn't have to take all the pressure. The fact that Huberdeau has been explosive this year, the moves that they made, and Quenneville's got that team down there believing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, Florida's had a great year, and I'll get to them soon. I think that kind of gives away where they are on my list, but I'll get to them soon. My number 2 team's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Where I had them number 2 last week too. I didn't move them. 13-3-2 on the season. They do have the most wins in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
They took the laughable loss against the Sens, where they blew the 5-1 lead against the worst team in the league, and it's like the Zamboni driver from last year when they lost to the Zamboni driver. It's really fun to make fun of the Leafs for it, but at the end of the day, it's only one game, and they're still a really good team.
Right.
And they were able to come out and beat the Senators the next two games anyway. So Toronto for me, last game I think was like 7-3 or something like that. Yeah.
But they put up 16 goals on Ottawa in the last 2 games. Like, oh, okay.
I've got Toronto at number 2. I think they're easily leading the North Division. They've had a really good start to the year, and they're still there with the most wins in the league. So that leaves Toronto at number two on my list, and that brings us now to number 1.
So number 1 for you is
the Florida Panthers,
which was my number 2.
Yep.
Right. And so my number 1 is your number 2, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Makes sense. I just put Florida at 1 because of how well they've been playing here recently.
Yeah.
Like, they're lighting it up. 10-2-2 on the
number
year.
1. I couldn't put him at number 1 because of Toronto just being so dominant. But I that's why I couldn't put Florida at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but I had to put him on the list. So the best thing I could do is put him at number 2. I understand why you put them at number 1 though, for real, because they just have everything clicking.
Yeah.
Their defense is playing well. They're getting scoring. They're getting goaltending. You know what I mean? And Quenneville's got them playing very, very well.
Absolutely. It's been a great start to the year for them, and I was not expecting this with the Florida Panthers.
No, none of us were. We were all like, Florida. Everybody was like, hey, if Bob plays up to 80% of his Vezina self,
mm-hmm.
then Florida might have a shot.
And Drieger's played really well to go along with him.
That's what I mean.
Drieger's been the better goaltender.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Florida gets goaltending, and now they're good. Look what happens when your goalie actually performs.
Hey, go figure. But that's why I can see why you have Florida number 1. Toronto for me, just too overpowering. You're just not going to throw them off until if they have a couple of games in a row there where they just don't play well and they look bad, and there's a couple of teams that are behind them that look better and play better. To me, Toronto's just going to be my number 1 until they get knocked off.
Yep. Okay. So that's our power rankings, guys, and that's going to do it here for Top Shelf as we move on to another really fun segment that I always enjoy. It's time for our game picks for tomorrow's games, and there are a boatload of NHL games tomorrow. We're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 games tomorrow in the NHL. So most teams are playing.
I'm going to say this. I'm glad that I am not a betting man. Okay? Because if you are counting on me for prognostication, you are asking the wrong person. Because I'm here to tell you, I did horrible last week.
Yikes.
Just horrible.
I don't know. I feel like I don't remember. Who are my picks? How did we do last week?
I'll give you the quick rundown, right? Okay. We had 10 games selected that we had, right?
Yep.
And you were let's see here, 17. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You were 5 and 5.
Okay.
So you're 22 and 18 for the season so far.
Still over 500. I'll take it.
Still over 500. That's right. I didn't do so well.
Yikes.
I only got 2 correct.
Oh, that's a rough day. That's a rough day.
Okay, so I'm 19 and 21 on the year.
Okay, so you need a big week this week to get back over 500.
That's right. So we got a lot of games to get into, man. So let's get rolling.
Let's get rolling. We'll do this lightning round because we are trying to be within the 2 hours here. So let's lightning round this.
Now let me just make sure that I got the right games here.
Buffalo, New Jersey.
Yep.
Rangers,
that's first game.
Washington.
Yep.
Vegas, Colorado. Florida, Detroit. Kings, Coyotes. San Jose, St. Louis.
New York Islanders, Pittsburgh.
Chicago, Carolina. Nashville, Columbus. Toronto, Montreal.
Yep.
Minnesota, Anaheim, and Calgary and Edmonton.
Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Chicago and Carolina. Oh no, did they change that? Is that the game that they changed?
Yes.
You're right. I forgot to change that on my notes. It was supposed to be Chicago and Carolina, and they changed it to Tampa Bay.
Yes.
I completely forgot to change that on my notes.
That's all right, my man. That's why we go through this. That's why we have this. It's all good. So,
all right.
Now that you're making your change, all right, you're ready.
We're good.
All right, Buffalo versus New Jersey. First game that we're going to go to here. What do you got there, John?
New Jersey. One team's playing well, one team's not. Should be all Devils in that one.
You know what? I don't even need to say anything about this. New Jersey Devils. I'm going with that one all the way. To me, that to me is a no-brainer.
Yep.
All right. So this one here is one of the games I'm kind of looking forward to here. New York Rangers versus the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, Capitals haven't been good in afternoon games, which has me thinking. Normally, I'd be all over the Caps in this one, especially at home. But the Capitals haven't been good in afternoon games. Now, the Rangers aren't exactly playing all that great this season. But this is going to be a tough one. You know, the Caps have kind of gotten things back on track a little bit. I think it's going to be close, but the Caps are going to pull it out.
I have to go with you on that. Even though they beat Philly the other night.
Yep.
They did not look good.
Yeah, the Rangers have not looked impressive.
There was so much time was spent down in their end. During the game, you know what I mean? And so I'm just, I don't have that feeling for the Rangers this year. I'm going to go with Washington on that one as well, too. So the next one is the outdoor game, the first outdoor game, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche.
This is as close of a 50-50 coin flip as I think you can get in the NHL. Like,
pretty much.
These teams have already played twice, their last 2 games against each other. They split those games. It was 1 win apiece. Colorado is getting some guys back. I think Landeskog's back off the COVID list. Tyson Jost is back.
Okay.
So Colorado's getting a little bit of a boost to the lineup. Vegas, though, has been so solid all season. Right. Fleury's going to be in net for them.
Oh, he is? Okay.
Oh, man. This is such a coin flip, but I think I'm gonna take Vegas. I'm gonna go Vegas, even though I'm kind of Avs are my second favorite team. I'm gonna take Vegas in this one. I think Fleury shines in the outdoor game.
He has had a history of playing well in outdoor games, but I'm going to go Colorado on this because of what you
Nice.
mentioned.
Yep.
With Landeskog coming back,
Yeah, that's big.
and that's huge for them.
Yep.
Okay, that's not only their captain, but that's one of their best scorers. One of their, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm with you. I agree. This is a coin flip, but I'm calling tails, and tails is Colorado.
Yep. Okay. I got heads, and it's Vegas.
There you go.
There we go.
All right. So, this is the Florida versus Detroit.
That's just funny, Florida.
No, you know what's going to end up happening, right?
Detroit wins like 3-2 in OT.
Yes,
or something.
even though we both picked Florida.
I just laughed at Detroit, and now they're going to
yeah,
win. No, I'm taking Florida in that one.
Yeah, Florida. Yeah, that was easy. All right, LA Kings versus Arizona.
LA. I like the way LA's been playing recently. I think they've gotten on the right track here. It was not a good start for them, but they've gotten on the right track.
Agreed.
Arizona, I mean, I'm surprised their record is as good as it is this season. I wasn't expecting them to be at this level. I think, they might not be able to keep that up all year. I'm going to go Kings.
I'm with you on that. Jonathan Quick has had a really good week.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they've been playing, and I look to them to continue here with their play against Arizona as well. I'm taking the Kings on this one.
Okay.
San Jose Sharks versus the St. Louis Blues.
St. Louis Blues. I mean, the Blues are just the better team. They should win that game. They are dealing with a lot of injury issues right now, and the Sharks played a very good close game against them last night, but I'm going to say Blues.
In fact, I think that this was... No, that wasn't one of the games that nope, never mind. I thought that was one of the games I had gotten, but nope. Anyway, so I'm going with St. Louis on this one as well. I have them as one of my top teams of the week in the power rankings. So I think this to me is a no-brainer. I'm going with St. Louis on this one all day. This is another game here that I'm looking forward to as well, and that's the New York Islanders versus the Penguins.
Yeah, that will be a really, really good game.
Heads or tails on this one too?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Islanders were going to take the first one, and they didn't. I'm going to take the Islanders in this one. I think these two teams split again. They split their first 2 game set against each other. I think they're going to split this one too. Excuse me. Islanders need to be much better than they were in the last game. I think they will be. Pittsburgh has done better in the first game, like in these 2 game sets. They've done better in the first game than they have in the second. We saw that in the Washington series, particularly where they came out and they pretty handily beat Washington in that first game, and then the second game Tuesday night, the Caps controlled the whole game. So I'm going to take the Islanders in this one.
Okay, I'm going to go with Pitt.
Ooh, here we go.
Yeah, I'll take Pitt on that because I think I don't know, man. There's something about this game. I don't know. I just have a feeling that Pittsburgh is going to take this game against the New York Islanders. The New York Islanders just haven't quite been where I thought they were going to be.
Yep.
I had them selected as winning the East, and they just aren't.
They haven't been at that level for sure.
No. So I'm going with Pittsburgh on that one.
Okay.
All right. Nashville versus the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Columbus. I mean, they just beat them 3-0, and I'm so down on Nashville at this point.
They didn't even show up. I'm with you on that.
I'm so down on Nashville.
Yeah. And although it's not like Columbus has been playing lights out.
No, they haven't, but I'm just so soured on the Preds at this point that I'm just going to take Columbus easily in that one.
Yeah. All right, I got you. Okay. This is another one here, too. Oh, boy, Toronto and Montreal.
Oh, that's a great game.
Yep.
Can't wait for that one.
I will be watching this game.
Yeah. That's going to be a really good one.
Yep.
Toronto won the first 2 against the Canadiens, but then the Canadiens did sneak a win in that last one. So, Canadiens have had a long break off, though. They haven't played all week. They haven't played since last weekend. And this will be their first game. And teams coming back, those breaks are tough sometimes. I'm going to take Toronto. I think the Leafs take it.
Okay, I'm going with Montreal because of that, because I think the break has helped them.
All right, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's
And it's
I hope
because
it did.
the reason why I say that is because it gives teams a chance to practice.
Yeah, apparently the Bruins didn't practice in their 4-day break. 'Cause they came back and played their worst game of the season last night. So.
Well, hey, it all depends on what you got going on up there. I'm going with Montreal on this one.
All right, cool.
Yeah, I think this needs to happen for Montreal.
Yep.
They need to come back after having some time off and play well, and I think this is a perfect game for them to do that in.
Okay.
All right, Tampa Bay Lightning versus Carolina. Ooh.
That's tough. Two really good teams. That reminds me a lot of Avalanche and Golden Knights. I mean, that's a coin flip game. Two really, really good teams competing for the division lead.
Carolina has been playing much better of late, even though they've been missing their number one goaltender.
Yeah. Mrazek's been out, but Nedeljkovic has stepped right in, and Reimer's played pretty well. And you know, I'm going to take the Canes. I'm going to take Carolina in that one. They've been playing well. I've been impressed with them.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. I have to go Tampa Bay.
Good. I like when we're different on stuff. It makes it more interesting.
Yeah, I have to go Tampa Bay because I have to. I'm sorry. I just think they're, in the long run, I think they're the better team.
Yep.
And although I think they've got smacked in the face there that one little bit, I think Tampa Bay is going to be out a little bit for blood on this one here. So I'm on the Tampa Bay wagon for this one here.
Cool.
All right. So Minnesota versus Anaheim.
Neither team playing all that great. I'll go
Minnesota just coming back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Minnesota. They beat Anaheim. They play last night? I think they played last night, and Minnesota won. I'm gonna take the Wild. They're the better team.
I'm going with you on that one too. I have to go with Minnesota on that. I have not liked how Anaheim's played this year, so I'm going with Minnesota on that. Even though they're coming back from COVID, you know what I mean. So. All right, the last game is the Calgary versus the Edmonton.
Battle of Alberta.
This is what, round 4?
No, that will be game 3 because they played once earlier in the season. They're playing tonight, and they're actually playing right now. And then this will be game 3 of the season series out of 10. Right. So we still got a long way to go.
Right, so round 3. What do you like?
Edmonton.
Yep.
I think Edmonton's been playing a little bit better of late.
Agreed. Yep, agreed.
So I'm going to go with the Oilers.
And Markstrom hasn't looked as good in Calgary either. You know what I mean? And so and Johnny Gaudreau hasn't. I mean, he's been playing well, but he hasn't been on. He's had a good year, but he hasn't been on the score sheet as of late. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Calgary
and Markstrom hasn't been playing really well, right? Yeah. Edmonton's playing a little better. I like Edmonton in this one, so. We agreed on that one. So there you go. Those are our picks.
There's our picks for tomorrow's games, and there sure were a lot of them.
All right.
Games of the week. Best
Here we
games.
Go.
All right, let's we're almost at the 2-hour mark, so we'll do this pretty quickly here. Just 5 matchups, from this coming week that we're really excited about. Steele, if you want to start us off.
I'll go 5. I'll go start at 5 and go to 1.
Okay.
All right. So the Chicago and the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 23rd and the 25th, those back-to-back games there, I'm looking forward to seeing that, especially with how well Chicago's been playing and not how well Columbus has been playing, right? The Pittsburgh versus the Washington game on the 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's on my list.
Yeah. This game here, I think, is going to have a little bit of snot to it. And I also see that you had them on here for the 25th as well.
Yeah, they played twice this week.
Yeah. So I think those are going to be some of the games to watch right there. I think that's going to be must-see TV right there.
I agree.
And then I also, with my number 3 pick, have the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. Not just the outdoor game, but the game 2 days later.
They play the 22nd as well.
Right.
Which is Monday?
Monday. Yeah, Monday's the 22nd. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to those 2 games because not only is it the outdoor game, but that's going to be the rematch then as well 2 days later. You know what I mean? So I like that one as well. My number 2 pick for the game of the week is the Tampa Bay Lightning versus the Carolina Panthers. Even though we just talked about this, I'm looking for Tampa Bay to come back on this one.
They play
but
4 times this week.
4 times, but
Oh.
the 22nd,
Oh.
that first game, or the one that's going to be played on Monday, that's the one
The
that I
second
want.
one. It would have been the first, but they moved tomorrow's game to tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So, but the second game on that there is one I'm looking forward to as well, because I think Tampa Bay is going to be the top team on that one.
Yeah.
My number one game of the week has to be the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Boston Bruins in the outdoor game on the 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That is my number one game of the week right there.
All right, sounds good. So
John,
games of the week.
Give me your 5 games of the week.
I have Philadelphia versus Boston on Sunday. This would have been higher on my list, but they only play once this week. It's obviously an outdoor game, so it's huge. But I'm really excited for it. But both teams are also missing significant pieces out of the lineup, and that does at least a little bit take away from it. Agreed. For me. Not having Giroux there for Philly, not having Voracek, not having Konechny, the Bruins not having Krejci and Miller, pretty significant guys out of the lineup. That does drop it down a little bit for me. Still super excited for the game. Can't wait to see how it looks outdoors, and that setting there is going to be fantastic. Definitely a game of the week, but it wasn't super high on my list. At number 4, I have Calgary versus Edmonton.
Yeah.
Battle of Alberta. If it's happening, it's going to be on my list. Just anytime those two teams meet up, they're on the game of the week list automatically. It's lower on my list because Zach Kassian will not be playing, and that he's such a physical guy and really one of the main spark plugs in what's built that rivalry back into what it is right now. With him not in the lineup for the Oilers, I feel like some of that juice is gone a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, anytime the Flames and Oilers play, it's a game of the week. So that's number 4. Number 3, I have Pittsburgh versus Washington. They play twice this week on Tuesday and Thursday. Another matchup that pretty much, if they're playing, they're on this list.
Pretty much.
Whenever they meet up, it's just absolutely incredible.
It's must-see TV. I mean, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. What?
How many years now has that just been one of the premier matchups in the NHL?
And how many more are we going to have left?
Exactly. I mean, it's been 15 years now for pretty much with those two. How many more?
We're coming down to the end here, I think.
Yeah, one of these days, in the coming years, Crosby versus Ovechkin isn't going to be a thing.
Right.
And we're going to be really sad about it. So that's number 3. Number 2, I have the same number 2 as you, Tampa Bay versus Carolina. They play Saturday, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So they play 4 times this week. Absolutely huge matchup. Teams fighting for first place in that Central Division. Division rivals. Going to be absolutely awesome hockey. Can't wait for that. And my number 1 is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. The outdoor game on tomorrow. And the game on Monday, they play twice. I think this is going to be phenomenal hockey. I mean, talk about 2 teams that are first-place caliber teams that are getting healthy and getting guys back, playing really well right now. I think it's going to be an elite matchup and just so much fun to watch those 2 go at it.
The best thing that's happened to the league is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Colorado Avalanche. Mm-hmm. Every time those guys meet and play, that is pretty much must-see TV. Some of the best games that have happened in the last couple of years have been those teams playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a phenomenal matchup every time.
Can't argue with that.
Those are our games of the week, and that brings us now to our final segment, Prospect Watch. As we always do, we like to shine a light on some of the up-and-coming prospects who are usually not quite in the NHL yet, but going to be there in the next few years. And
I love this part of the show.
This is a fun part to kind of look ahead at the future of the NHL a little bit. Who's your prospect watch for this week?
We get to talk about some of the players that, like we were talking about earlier, this is where all that amazing skill and all that amazing talent is starting to shine through at such younger age, much younger ages than what has happened in the past. And I think that has a lot to do with what we talked about at the top of the show, the fact that you're starting to see high schools and definitely college hockey in the United States has exploded.
Yep.
Okay,
Absolutely.
and you're getting more and more kids that are more and more willing to go to play college hockey because they know that can potentially lead them to the NHL.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the guy on my list this week is a player who was drafted in the 2019 first round. He was a 25th overall pick.
Okay.
It's Connor McMichael from the Washington Capitals.
Yes.
Okay.
And he has made his NHL debut.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So, but he did play.
He played one game, I think.
One game, right?
Yep. And then got sent back down.
Right.
He's knocking on the door, though.
He's not, and that's why I had to pick him.
Yep.
Because he's knocking on the door.
Perfect pick.
And he played in the juniors this past year, 7 games. He had 4 goals, 4 assists for 8 points. He was a +8.
Yep.
In that game.
That's really good.
Right. He played for the AHL Hershey Bears. He's played 4 games. He's got 1 goal.
Yep.
Okay, and he's got 1 point. And then he played 1 game with the Washington Capitals. So he has made his NHL debut. Look for him to be a player in the future for the Washington Capitals.
Oh, yeah.
That is going to be a good goal scorer.
Yeah, McMichael's a really good prospect. Obviously still really young, getting his first true taste of pro hockey this season down in Hershey, and he did get the 1 game up with Washington, but he's going to be a really, really solid player long-term in the league for sure. And
Exactly.
Capitals got something there with him. I think that was a good draft pick.
Agreed. 25th overall in the first round for them in 2019. So that was a good call for them. So John, who is your prospect for this week?
All right, so my prospect is a defenseman who's probably a little bit away from the NHL. He was a second-round draft pick, but I think does have a chance to be a really solid D-man in the future, a few years down the line from now. It is Alex Vlasic. He's 19 years old. He's a defenseman currently at Boston University, and he was drafted 43rd overall by the Chicago Blackhawks in 2019 in the second round. And this year at Boston University, he's played 10 games. He has 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points and a +5 rating. He is 6'6", 198 pounds. So he still really hasn't... Weight-wise, he hasn't filled out that body yet, and I think that's something that as he gets older, obviously, he's going to fit into that body and put some weight on. I think by the time he does get to pro hockey, his playing weight will probably be around 215, somewhere around there. Big kid.
Wow.
I forget.
That's a big kid, man.
He's the. Did I say he was the cousin of Marc-Edouard Vlasic?
No, you didn't.
He's the cousin of Marc-Edouard Vlasic, who plays longtime defenseman for the San Jose Sharks.
Yep.
So obviously good family history there. And he's made a big jump from his freshman year at BU to his sophomore season. So his freshman year, I think he played 34 games last year at BU. He only had 4 points all season, and he was a -5. And he didn't play a whole lot. He didn't play a big role on the team, which most freshmen don't, unless they're like superstar players. But we've seen a huge growth here in his second year at Boston University, where now
that's what you want to see.
Absolutely. He's almost doubled his point total from last year to 7 points now, and he only through 10 games, still a long way to go. And he's +5 on the season as opposed to being -5 like last year. So his defensive game's gotten better. The one knock against Vlasic is he's not an overly physical player, especially for his size. You would think, 6'6", 200 pounds, that they'd be a physical force. He really isn't a physical player, but what he does do very well is use his long reach for stick positioning and just breaking up passes, breaking up plays. That length is really going to be an asset to him.
Yeah, kind of like what Chara did in the beginning.
Yeah.
Because Chara was so tall and he just had such a reach, he didn't have to hit you.
Yeah.
He could just reach over there and take the puck away from you.
Yeah, and Vlasic plays that way a lot, where he uses his reach to his advantage. So, again, I think he's kind of still a project, but we're seeing really good steps in his growth. And, if that continues, maybe 3 years down the line, you'll be looking at him potentially making it into the Chicago lineup. They have a decent defensive prospect here, and I'm really interested to see how he progresses along the way as he does, move closer to being an NHL player, because that jump from first year to second year in college has been really, really good. So
that's good.
If that continues, I do think you'll see Vlasic in an NHL uniform at some point in the future. And
sure sounds like it.
Yeah, he's just
and
somebody.
Chicago's going to need it.
Yeah, and again, Chicago needs these young guys coming up and becoming good quality players for them. So I don't really ever see star status for Vlasic or anything like that, but I think he can be a solid second or third pair NHL defenseman at some point in his career. He's only 19, so obviously he's still got years of development ahead of him as he's still a teenager. So an interesting guy to watch if you're a Blackhawks fan and kind of keep tabs on as things move along with him in college. And you might be seeing him probably in the AHL at some point in the next couple of years, and then making a push for an NHL job as well. So Alex Vlasic is my my prospect watch for this week.
That was two really good ones, man. Alex Vlasic and Connor McMichael. Man, we got two really good ones again this week, man. It's like we picked these good players, man. Gosh.
It's almost like we researched this before we come up with it or something.
No.
Yeah.
Well, we've watched a lot of hockey, and the hockey has been exceedingly surpassing expectations since this season has started. Yeah, and I'm overly excited every single time that we get to do this show. John, I can't thank you enough, man. What you do here is so cool. It's so awesome. Can't thank CCC Resorts for being our sponsor and for taking care of all of your pets' needs and everything like that. But supporting us has been a major. That's huge for us, Absolutely. And all of what you guys do, coming here and watching us. This is why we're here. We're doing this so that we can inform you guys, so that we can be here for you guys. So thank you all for your subscriptions. Thank you all for listening and watching. Man, is it next Friday yet?
Not quite, but it's going to be here soon. It's going to be here soon, that's for sure.
Oh, no. Can't wait, man. I can't wait. Is
Me
it next
either.
Friday yet?
Almost, but anyway, guys, that's going to do it here for episode 8 of the show. I want to thank Steele for coming on, man. It was great to have you as always.
You bet.
And thank you to CCC Resorts for all their support and their sponsorship here at Steel Flyers. This is the Off the Wall Hockey Show, a hockey show for hockey fans through the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. And I want to thank all of you for watching and listening out there. That really does. We're here for you, and the only reason we're here is because of you. If we didn't have an audience, we wouldn't be able to do this. So
that's exactly
thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate it. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. We will talk to